Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. January 21st, 2025 is the 25th anniversary of the Homeport Alliance being notified that they received Battleship New Jersey. So 25 years ago this week, the organization that still operates the battleship was notified that they had, won isn't the right word, earned is maybe the better word for this, that they had earned the right to operate Battleship New Jersey. When the Navy put Battleship New Jersey up on donation status, there was a requirement that she had to be displayed in the territorial waters of the state of New Jersey. She was the only one of the Iowa-class battleships, which at that time were the only battleships left around to be on donation hold, the only ones that weren't already museums. She was the only one of those Iowa-class battleships which could get to her home state. The other Iowas are too long to fit through the canals or too deep to fit up the rivers to get back home, all named after practically landlocked states. So it was important to the Navy that New Jersey be displayed in her home state, which was, prior to the Iowas, the trend. The state of Texas saved Texas. The state of North Carolina, Alabama, Massachusetts saved their home state battleships. So when it was announced that she could be donated as a museum, multiple organizations in the state of New Jersey came forward to try and get her as a museum. The efforts to turn New Jersey into a museum ship actually dates back. We've got some letters that were sent in the 50s after the battleship was decommissioned post-Korean War, talking about, hey, wouldn't it be nice? And of course, in the 60s, 1948, Texas takes their home state battleship back. In the 60s, you start to see ships like Massachusetts and Alabama, North Carolina being turned into museum ships. So New Jersey, actually, during that same time period, is being reactivated and used and then put back into mothballs. And throughout the 70s and 80s, there are organizations that are lobbying the Navy to get the battleship back, but the Navy keeps her in reserve. And then, of course, she's actually brought back in active service in the 80s, as you all know. But by the late 90s, it's been decided that at least some, if not all of the Iowas are going to be turned into museum ships. And so originally, Missouri and Iowa are put up for donation status, but then there's some shuffling, and the state of New Jersey says that they will pay the bill to swap Iowa and New Jersey so that New Jersey can be placed on donation hold, and so that it's Iowa and Wisconsin kept in mothballs for potential future use. The Navy had previously had two battleships on the East Coast and on the West Coast, and so they wanted to take one from each coast and turn them into a museum ship. And so that's how it ended up that they had to switch Iowa and New Jersey. Anyway, there were some very established organizations in the state that wanted the battleship, and the idea was to open her up somewhere in the northern part of the state. And a couple of other cities lobbied and said that they wanted the battleship and they'd be a good home for her. They felt like they did not get adequate consideration, so they formed their own organizations to try and get the battleship. And the governor of the state of New Jersey said that she would support whichever organization ended up being selected by the Navy, and the Navy said that they would select applications from any organization that was going to bring the ship to the territorial waters of the state of New Jersey. So we've had a couple of videos over the last couple of months about the donation process, specifically because of the sad news we got that USS Halliburton, which was on donation hold, their application was not accepted. And there's been a lot of questions about what those applications look like, and that's what I'm sitting with here. These artifacts are from our museum-era collection. The Battleship Museum does not just collect artifacts from when the ship was in service. We also collect them from our museum period, because now at this point, the ship has operated as a museum longer than she was in commission service. And so some of those early events, the stuff that led to the ship being turned into a museum, the stuff that led to her being brought here to Camden, we believe is historically significant enough that we should be preserving that to be able to tell that story in the future. So among those artifacts is this set right here. This is the application, or possibly just a part of the application to the Navy for the Homeport Alliance to receive the battleship. And I've been told by some of the folks who were part of that decision process that this was such a good application that they use it when other folks say that they want to do this. So they give them this and say, hey, if you make your document look like this, it's got a strong chance of being accepted. So you've got here volume 1, the initial application. We've got our whole table of contents here. Don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. But it's got sections on cost, on the towing plan, on the mooring plan, environmental safety since these ships had lead, asbestos, PCBs, curatorial and staff plan, collections management plans, support for Navy recruitment, continued association with the Navy and Navy veterans. So you got all of these different sections in here that had to be enumerated, and this is the main application, but volume 1 had an appendix. It's like the Lord of the Rings here. The appendix is just as long as the book itself, longer in this case. So the appendix has like a lot of the math and stuff, the methodology that goes into, well, hey, we had to estimate how much money the museum would make if we brought it to Camden. Is it going to be a viable location? Well, here's the methodology on how we came to the numbers that we got. Those sorts of things. Here's all the plans and things for mooring and towing and arrangement. Letters of support, that sort of stuff. We have the backing of the local community to open the ship here. And then, of course, there's volume 2. Volume 1 was the appendix. Volume 2 is the attachments. So here's where you've got documents that say how it'll benefit the Navy, documents of support, local government partners, civic partners, port and land lease. So all of these sort of things saying that, we're not just an organization that wants to bring the battleship to Camden. We are representing the city of Camden and the organizations around us, and they all are saying that they want to bring the ship here. So this whole thing, the way some of my coworkers who were around back then describe it, they showed up at the Navy headquarters with a moving truck, and they had to get a forklift to unload a pallet of these because the application required, I don't know how large the team was that was reviewing it, but they said, all right, bring a copy for each member of the review team. So they had to show up with all of those, and there might even be other documents that I don't have here right now, on a full pallet wrapped in saran wrap and bring it out to the loading gate to start passing it out to people. And then after reading all of this documentation, this is submitted in May of 1999. The Navy sends a letter in July of 1999, so it took 2 or 3 months to read and review all this, asking further questions. And so this is the answers to the questions. Now, hold on, let me see here. For example, on the financial side of things, the Navy had 13 follow-up questions. And all told, there were 43 follow-up questions that were asked that they put together additional documentation on to send back to the Navy as part of this approval process. Now, there were a tremendous number of people involved in this process, but the person whose name I often hear associated with this is Captain David McGuigan, who was a Navy captain, retired at the time, and he is the person who took the lead on filling all of this documentation out. As a former Navy captain, he knew the format they wanted the government documents in. And so many of his peers who I've gotten to talk to since then have credited him with this massive application document. Let me tell you, if George R.R. Martin could write the way Captain McGuigan could, he'd be done by now. We wouldn't still be waiting for Winds of Winter. So I don't think anybody doubted that there's an incredible amount of work that goes into getting ready to receive a museum ship. But since we had these documents in our collection, I wanted to show you just how much has to be submitted for a Navy application. And I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe there were only 2 steps in the process when New Jersey applied back in '99. I want to say the process has been broken up into 3 steps now. I don't believe there's too much additional. I think they just broke it into a different time period that you're submitting the stuff in, as opposed to a different amount of stuff, but don't quote me on that. Obviously, they don't let me choose ships to be donated to museums, or I would just be running around with the approved stamp saying, yep, museum ship now. Yep, whoever wants you can come and take you. So what's the longest document you've ever had to write? Let us know in the comment section down below. I think for school I had to write a 25-page paper once, and I'm having trouble thinking of anything longer than that. But let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.